Triton men's and women's D1 basketball. Need I say more? From the moment the Chancellor Kostla invited me to give the keynote tonight, and I have to say, receiving this and being part of this great moment in your life is truly the highest honor that I have ever received in my entire life. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. When I found out that I was going to be the keynote speaker at your commencement, I immediately started looking at famous commencement speeches. What are they supposed to look like? What is the content? Who gives them? What do they say? And two that stood out for me was Roger Federer, the great tennis player last year at Dartmouth. The other was Steve Jobs in 2005 at Stanford. They both gave these incredibly impactful, inspiring speeches. Every word was perfect. Every metaphor was on point. Every joke got the laugh it was supposed to get. But there was something missing from both of those great men's speeches. Neither of them graduated from university. As I stand before you today, class of 2025, I am proud to say that I, like you, am a graduate from the University of California at San Diego. 45 years ago, good God, 45 years ago, I was sitting where you are with my gown and cap on, and as I was looking up on the stage, I had this almost intoxicating excitement because for the first time in my life was unscripted, and I felt like I could do absolutely anything that I wanted to do. But I also had this terrifying paralysis. I had no idea what that thing was going to be. I had a degree, but I did not know what I was going to do with that. I was reading a book about how to find your career, and one of the suggestions was, follow your passion. The money will follow your passion. And I'm a realist. My passions then, as they are today, I love playing guitar and I love surfing. And I knew that no matter how much I practiced either of those, if I chose those as careers, I was going to end up a starving musician, supporting myself, selling board shorts in a surf shop. That wasn't going to work. I had a job at the time, and a lot of people thought it was the ultimate idyllic job. I was a state lifeguard here on the beaches. 2 days a week, I would work down at Torrey Pines State Beach, which is a very family-oriented beach. Families show up, they have barbecues, they feed me lunch almost every day. The other 2 days of the week that I worked down at Black's Beach. Now, I don't know if any of you have been down to Black's Beach, but I would not qualify that as a family beach. It was a great job. I loved the people that I was working with. I was doing good things. I was saving lives. But it didn't call me. There was something missing. It wasn't feeding my soul. And I was searching for a pursuit, something that I could grab onto and that would help define my entire adult life. I couldn't find it. What was it going to be? 2 years after graduating, at the age of 24, I was beginning to panic. I knew that I was forgetting a lot of the information that I had learned in my biology degree major, and I was not even sure if anybody would hire me. One Saturday afternoon, one cold, wintry, drizzly Saturday afternoon in February 1982, I was hunkered down in my apartment in Del Mar watching Wide World of Sports, my favorite sports program at the time. And the main announcer, Jim McKay, was talking about this thing called the IRONMAN Triathlon. He said, it's a 2.4-mile swim in the open ocean off the coast of Kona. That's followed by a 112-mile bike ride along the hot, windy, desolate west side of the Big Island. And then the athletes are going to finish up with a marathon, 26.2 miles of running. And I thought, how many friggin' days is it going to take them to complete that stupid thing? And he said, they start at 7 in the morning. The winners are going to come in at about 8 hours, and the last people have to finish by midnight, 17 hours later. And I thought, that is impossible. I mean, as a swimmer, my longest race was 2 minutes. These people are going 17 hours. There was a big gap in my mind. They can't do that. But I watched these seemingly ordinary people cross that extraordinary finish line. And about a week later, I could feel that little tuning fork inside of me that starts to hum and buzz and get my attention when something is calling me. The Ironman was calling me. And I made it my pursuit to see if I could be an Ironman finisher. It seemed impossible, but I was intrigued by it. When you feel those things intriguing you, calling you, pay attention. This was going to be a 10-month pursuit. It was like the perfect stall tactic for getting serious with my life, right? Train a bunch for Ironman, and then I'll get serious after the race in October. October 1982, I was on the start line of what I thought would be my one and only Ironman triathlon in Hawaii. There was one athlete in that race that I need to tell you about, though. His name was Dave Scott. He was the best Ironman distance triathlete in the world. He'd won the race once, coming back that year, hoping to win his second title. And he was one of those guys that did everything absolutely perfectly. He was perfectly trained. He had the perfect equipment for the race. He was impeccable with his diet. As an example, in 1982, Dave Scott was basically a vegetarian, but he knew that endurance athletes needed a lot of protein for their bodies to repair. So to get the protein his body needed, he ate a lot of cottage cheese. I figure that's pretty healthy. Dave Scott felt like cottage cheese had too much fat in it. So before he ate his cottage cheese to optimize the performance of it, he would stick it in a strainer and rinse it to get rid of the fat. I mean, if you're going to win the Ironman, you've got to beat a guy who is willing to rinse his cottage cheese. Well, I wasn't thinking about winning. I was hoping to finish. The cannon sounded. We all headed out for 2.4 miles of swimming in the open ocean. Right away, I got on the feet of a swimmer who seemed to be cutting a very steady pace, a very straight line through the swim. I stayed on his feet the entire way. 50 minutes into what I thought would be my one and only Ironman, I came out of the water still on this guy's feet. We ran up the ramp, we got to our bikes, and just as I got to my bike, somebody, one of the volunteers who was looking right at me, yelled out and they said, "You are in second place." I'm in second place? And just as he said that, the guy that I was following turned around and I could see who it was. Do you want to take a guess who it was? Diplomas for everybody. Dave Scott, the best guy in the world. We rode together 3 hours into the bike ride. I was still with Dave Scott. Nobody had caught us. I had never talked to him before, so I figured, perfect time for an introduction. I pedal up next to him and I go, "Hey, Dave, when we're done with the bike, you want to go for a run?" "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm Mark Allen." And he goes, "Oh, I think I've heard your name." And he clicked his bike into big gear and he took off. Well, that conversation didn't go so well. So I clicked my bike into a big gear to follow him, and I heard this clank, 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 clank. And I looked down. The derailleur, the transmission of my bike, the thing that changes my gears, had broken off and was dragging on the ground. Dave Scott won his second title that year. My race was done before I even finished the bike ride. I did not achieve that dream of crossing the finish line, but I had been with the best guy in the world for almost 4 hours of racing, almost half the time it takes for the winners to finish that race. And then the true dream was born, the true purpose that I was going to be searching for within this pursuit of triathlon was born. I thought maybe, just maybe, if I take my time, develop my skills and experience as a triathlete, I can be the champion of this amazing race. From 1982 till 1988, I raced the Ironman 6 times, and my results sounded pretty darn good. I finished 5th twice. I finished 3rd once. I even finished 2nd twice. But those results don't show what was going on the race course. You see, I could be leading at the end of the bike. I could be leading halfway through the marathon. I could be leading even with a few miles to go in the marathon, but I always kept falling apart and slowing down, sometimes even walking. And Dave Scott kept winning, and I kept not winning. The first few years, I chalked it up to, I just need to get more experience. But eventually, it was starting to get to the point where I thought, this is stupid. I had worked up to doing 15,000 miles of swimming, cycling, and running to get ready for that race. And it wasn't enough. I wasn't winning. And I was getting disillusioned, disappointed. This was a fun, nice pursuit with a great purpose, but I wrote a letter to the universe. I said, "Dear universe, Mark Allen here. I think you forgot about me. I did 15,000 miles of swimming, cycling, and running, and I did not win that race. I deserve to win that race. In fact, universe, you know what? I resign. I quit. I'm going to give up on this dream. I'm going to go to the other races around the world where it's easier for me to race well, where I've shown that I can win, where I can beat Dave Scott. The universe does not give us what we feel we deserve. But the universe does give us what we need. What I did not realize at the time, those 6 races where I did not win, where I struggled, where I thought I had it and then it would get ripped from my hand, I was learning skills that were going to eventually help me to become the Ironman champion many times. One of the most important ones was to learn how to just keep giving everything I had, even when that victory got ripped from my hand. To give the best I could, to be the best version of myself that I could be, even when I was going to finish 2nd or 3rd or 5th. That skill was important. But I also felt like when I did all the other races around the world where I was having success, I was one person. And then when I showed up in Kona at the Ironman, the Ironman World Championship, I tried to be something very different. You see, Dave Scott was an amazing champion. He was winning over and over and over. And so I thought, if I'm going to ever win this race, I have to be like him. He's doing it right. But you have to understand, Dave Scott is one of those guys that's very aggressive, and he likes to control the race, and he likes to be at the front and dictate everything that's going on. I'm not like that. All of the other races that I won, I had one strategy. Just go out there, let all the other competitors show their cards, and then at the very end, I'll play my best card. I didn't have to control anything. All I had to do was cross the line in first place. That's kind of simple. But when I went to Kona, I was trying to be like Dave, to try to be aggressive. And it takes so much energy to try to be like somebody else. It takes no energy to be yourself. You know, there's that saying, you may as well be yourself. Everybody else is taken. When I went to Kona in 1989, after preparing for what would now be my 7th Ironman, and by the way, I wrote that letter, but right afterwards, I could hear the island calling like a whisper on the wind, you have to come back. You have to come back. And I knew that little pitchfork inside my heart was still humming and buzzing. I still had a purpose and a reason to go there. But when I arrived on the island, I went to a little spot along the ocean that I love to go to just be quiet and connect with the land there. And I left some offerings, and I said, Big Island, let it just be okay that I am me this year. I didn't want to use up all that energy trying to beat Dave Scott. I wanted all my energy to just be mine. Dave Scott and I swam the entire swim together. I stayed on his feet the entire 2.4 miles of swimming. Every 3 or 4 minutes, I would just tap his foot to let him know I was back there. I knew he hated that. We biked 112 miles through incredible winds. We ran side by side, mile after mile of the marathon. At the half marathon point, Dave decided he was going to play his best cards. He started surging and surging and surging, and it started to get more difficult and harder to stay with him. And eventually it got to the point where I did not think I could do it anymore. And then my mind went nuts with all the stuff that does not help me out, the stuff that does not show the best version of me that I can be. Dave Scott, he's so strong, he's going to win again. I shouldn't have come back. My legs are killing me. When I'm done with this thing, I'm going to get an office job. I was whining. Have any of you ever been whining in difficult moments? Oh, 2 of you. Finally, I uttered those 2 words that can help all of us out of that kind of a situation where we are whining when we are not being the best version of ourselves that we can be. Shut up. My mind went quiet, and in that moment of quiet, I recalled a photograph that I saw in a magazine a couple days before the race. It was of a 110-year-old Huichol medicine man or shaman from central Mexico. And he had one of those smiles that seemed to just stretch all the way across the universe. And it wasn't just a smile of happiness. It was a smile that was truly that smile of trusting in life. Like, you know that you're going to have tough times, but you trust enough in life and in yourself that you know that you will make it through those times. It may not be easy, but you will make it through. Don Jose had that look. When my mind went quiet, his image came back to me. And suddenly, my whole race changed. I trusted that no matter how that day turned out, I was going to be okay. Whether I won, got second, fell apart, the next day I would still wake up. My family and friends were going to love me. The sun was going to rise. The birds were going to sing. Life would continue on. In that moment where I trusted in life, I stopped focusing on the impossibility of staying on pace with this great champion. But instead, I saw all of the things that were still possible in that race. I was still with Dave Scott. It was hard, but he had not broken away yet. There was still about 13 miles to go in this marathon. Something might change, and everything did. Mile after mile, there was an entourage of cars and camera vans following us, and people on mopeds and motorcycles, and they were dead silent. The only sound that you could hear was the sound of our 4 sweat-soaked shoes hitting that hot lava pavement, squishing over and over and over. At mile 24 and a half, with just over a mile to go in that race, I played my card. I surged, and Dave Scott did not have an answer. I came down that finishing chute. I had the smile that spread across the universe with that joy and that happiness. This was a performance that had taken me 7 years to get right. Dave Scott finished second that day. He broke his previous world's record by almost 18 minutes. I did my best time on that day by nearly 30. The difference in our times at the end was a mere 58 seconds. A very, very small difference on a very long day. My marathon split that day was 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 4 seconds. And that marathon split stood as the fastest marathon at the Ironman in Hawaii for 27 years. A close friend of mine after the race said, you know, there's a theory that the longer something is in chaos before you actually find the answer and come up with the answer, when the answer does come, it's going to have more impact and be longer lasting than an answer that would have come to you to this question you had really quickly and really early. And he was so right. I proved that out. From 1989 through 1995, I won 6 Ironmans and 6 starts. Whew. You know, I spoke to a lot of people about your graduation, and I was surprised at what they had to say. A lot of them were like, oh, I feel so sorry for people who are graduating now. The world's in chaos. There's little opportunity. It's a really hard time. I just feel sorry for them. Class of 2025, I do not feel sorry for any one of you. In fact, I am excited for each and every single one of you. And you know why? When things are humming along smoothly and the world is working perfectly and there's not that many problems going on, there's actually very little room for creativity, for innovation. Show up, do your job right. If the machine's not broken, don't fix it. Do what you're expected to do. You can find jobs, yes, but it's harder to find pursuits, things that really have a draw and an attraction and an intrigue for you. But when things are in total chaos, when there's questions that are very serious ones that need answers, there is incredible opportunity, at least for those who are willing to search for that possibility. You see, class of 2025, when you leave here tonight, there are 2 buses waiting for you in the parking lot that are going to take you into the future. One of those buses is very, 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 very big, and it has a lot of seats on it. It's the bus of impossibility. And a lot of people want on that bus. because that bus doesn't demand much of you. In fact, all you have to do if you join that bus of impossibility is sit in your seat and complain and whine and tell everybody why nothing's working out. But you know what? The bus of impossibility does not leave that parking lot. Fortunately, I checked the seating roster, and none of your names are on that bus. There is another bus, and it is going to leave the parking lot. It's a much smaller bus. It's the bus of possibility. That bus is demanding. It will ask a lot of you, but it will carry you far. It won't let you just settle for a job. It will keep driving you until you truly feel that thing that's calling you, till you find that thing that is your pursuit. And then it will continue to demand that you keep going further until you find that part of the pursuit that is your special area, that thing that you really want to focus on, that will define you, that will have huge impact. And yes, sometimes, because this is a long journey on the bus of possibility, it's going to break down in the middle of the road, and it's going to be stuck. And when that happens, there will be only one thing that you're asked to do, and that's to keep showing up and try and find the solutions to get it back on track to where you know it can end up. You see, when you live focused on possibility, it will fundamentally change who you are. When you live focused on possibility, you will impact those who are around you that you know, and you will impact so many others that you will never know you had impact on. When you are focused on possibility, you can even change the face of humanity. The choice is always going to be yours, isn't it? Class of 2025, this is an honor to be up here to say these words to you. You know, all of us here know that things are not necessarily going to be easy for you. That bus of possibility is going to ask you to be the best version of yourself that you can. It's going to ask you to stand up when you want to fall down. That bus of possibility, yes, sometimes it will push you to the limit. It will push you to the point where you don't know if you can take another step, where you want to write your letter of resignation to the universe, where you are whining so loudly about what's going on and you want to give up on your dream that you cannot even hear the whisper of possibility calling you to keep going forward. But what are those two words you need to utter when you hear yourself whining? Shut up. Yes. We congratulate all of you on this incredible accomplishment of graduation here. All of us believe in each and every single one of you. When you leave here tonight, believe in yourself. Be yourself. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. And that bus of possibility, it has all of your names on it. So when you are out there and you are struggling and you want to quit, remember which bus you are on. You are on that bus of possibility. And let me show you how that works. Last week, unemployment numbers came out for college graduates. And it said, 6% are not being hired. The bus of impossibility started sounding the alarm immediately. They were like, oh my God, this is so terrible. There's no options. People, they can't get hired. Getting a degree is a waste of time. But all of the people on that bus of possibility, they said something different based on a number that was not even in that report, a number that's very easy to figure out. The people on that bus of possibility, they said, wow, 94% of all college graduates are getting jobs. That's a huge, massive number. Not only that, but graduates from UCSD, they go to a very prestigious university, and they are going to outdo the national average for graduates. They are going to be an even better situation and position. Class of 2025, we commend you. We believe in you. This is your time. Go out there, grab it. The world of possibility is waiting for each and every single one of you. It has been a true honor. Thank you. I love you. Take care.